trade conflict between the United States and practically the rest of the world has taken a sudden turnaround courtesy of U.S. President Donald Trump.
Canada's auto industry is the latest target of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs after Trump announced a 25% tax on all vehicle imports yesterday.
This is very modest. What we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs.
A 25% tariff face-off. Some call it a ticking time bomb for the entire electric vehicle revolution. Just days ago, on April 9th, 2025, Canada unleashed a retaliatory measure that matched the United States' own sweeping tariff on automobiles. Suddenly, one regulatory stroke threatened to inflame decades of fragile peace on the North American trade front. Automakers have been left scrambling, consumers feel the shock as price tags rise, and the entire EV sector braces for a new normal that nobody seems ready for. Even more unsettling, economists are now warning that these tariffs might add thousands of dollars to new electric vehicles and spark ripple effects around the globe. Stick around, because this clash goes far beyond a standard trade spat. It's about who will control the future of electric mobility, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Trade tensions between Washington and Ottawa, once thought to be a footnote in economic history, have exploded back onto the main stage with electric vehicles taking the hardest hit. Why EVs? Because the push to electrify transportation has never been more urgent in our fight against climate change. And yet, it is now caught in the crossfire of national security tariffs. Just as CUSMA, formerly known as NAFTA, tried to provide a rulebook for smoother trade, a series of sudden tariff measures triggered chaos. Headlines everywhere read, "Tariffs override North America's 75% content requirement," highlighting the contradiction that a trade deal meant to reduce barriers is being overshadowed by a confrontational policy blitz. According to recent updates, Canadian leaders announced on April 9th, 2025, that they would not stand idly by while American tariffs continued.
Today I'm announcing that the Government of Canada will be responding by matching the U.S. approach, with 25% tariffs on all vehicles imported from the United States that are not compliant with CUSMA, our North American Free Trade Agreement.
Their matching 25% measure, specifically targeting American-built vehicles, was designed to give partial relief for some automakers, while inflicting real economic pain on others. Almost overnight, border checkpoints slowed with new paperwork, and assembly lines began to delay production for fear of incurring extra fees. Experts from the Canadian Auto Parts Manufacturers Association warned temporary layoffs could become permanent if these tariffs persist beyond 6 months. One union member from Unifor Local 222 went further, lamenting, "We're being forced to choose between our jobs and our planet's future." The conflict spilled from boardrooms into factory floors, as employees realized that the very tools of environmental progress could be sidelined by protectionist policies. All the while, the White House claims these tariffs are crucial to protecting domestic industries.
President Trump is no longer going to allow American workers and companies to be ripped off at the hands of foolish trade practices that shipped away millions of high-paying jobs and hollowed out communities across the country. It's America first, all the way.
Yet manufacturers and dealers across North America see this as a wrecking ball crashing through meticulously organized supply chains. Tensions are high and the fear is palpable. With each passing day, the cost of compliance goes up, pushing EV sticker prices further out of reach. The real question is, will this trade battle derail North America's EV future, or can cooler heads prevail before lasting damage is done? Multiple forces are fueling the drama. At the center, of course, is the current U.S. administration. It recently doubled down on automotive tariffs under the banner of national security, even though many question how EV batteries or aluminum body frames threaten military readiness. Critics say it's a move that spurs hostile competition at exactly the wrong time. The president has insisted we need strong borders and strong industries. Yet behind this firm language lies mounting pressure from auto lobbyists who fear losing out to foreign competition. not just in Canada, but also from major Asian battery suppliers. On the other side of the border, the Canadian government has decided to punch back. Government ministers quietly signaled for weeks that they would coordinate a countermeasure if U.S. tariffs remained unchanged. Then, with little warning, the finance minister delivered the new tariff policy.
As of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, March 13th, 2025, 25% reciprocal tariffs on an additional $29.8 billion of imports from the United States.
Described by observers as precise but potent. In many ways, Ottawa sought to avoid completely dismantling the existing supply chain. Remissions and exemptions were carefully designed to spare key vehicle components, presumably to help Canadian auto parts suppliers avoid collateral damage. Yet, this measured approach did not stop the immediate pain. Some dealerships in Ontario are already reporting sluggish traffic, with potential EV buyers left confused by uncertain pricing. One parts manufacturer captured the mood perfectly. "We can't retool on a whim. Every new tariff forces a scramble for compliance." Meanwhile, behind these government-led decisions, a web of additional actors exerts its own influence. Legal teams specializing in CUSMA compliance are fielding frantic calls from automakers. They warn that even a fully CUSMA-compliant vehicle might trigger a 25% penalty if a small percentage of battery cells comes from Asia. Labor unions, too, stand divided. Some union chapters in the United States see tariffs as a tool to defend local jobs, believing that imported vehicles undercut domestic workers. Others argue the move will backfire by sapping the momentum behind EV innovation, resulting in lost opportunities to secure future-proof jobs. A senior representative from the Canadian Auto Workers said, "We want fair trade, but not at the cost of crippling an industry that's shifting to electrification." In the wings, waiting for their moment on stage, are the Asian battery giants and European automakers. China, which controls nearly 85% of global lithium processing capacity, looms large. Should these U.S. Canada tensions escalate, Chinese suppliers might step in to fill the gaps. But at what political or economic cost? European Union officials, watching from across the Atlantic, see an opening to strengthen battery mineral partnerships with Canada under existing trade deals like CETA. From their perspective, this might be an opportunity to blunt China's advantage and expand Europe's own influence in the emerging EV market. Every stakeholder moves in a high-stakes chess match, each strategizing to emerge on top of a fast-evolving automotive order. As regional friction boils, the shockwaves spread across continents. Automotive supply chains, famously interconnected, now teeter with each new tariff announcement. A single broken link, like a specialized battery part caught in customs, can halt entire assembly lines. It's more than just a North American drama. It's a test of free trade principles worldwide. With the United States and Canada locking horns, Mexico and Europe keep a watchful eye. Analysts say Mexico is conspicuously absent from these direct hostilities, possibly seeing an avenue to attract more investment if manufacturers seek to bypass the tariff gauntlet. The broader scope becomes even clearer when you consider emerging markets. China's dominance in battery materials is not merely an economic footnote. Should these tensions persist, Chinese firms could hold the cards for global EV expansion, dictating terms and prices for critical components. Some watchers fear an ironic twist. The West, instead of countering China's power, might inadvertently strengthen its grip by forcing North American automakers to look eastward for cheaper or more readily accessible resources. According to industry data, potential EV price hikes of $2,000 or $3,000 might cripple adoption rates just as mainstream acceptance is finally peaking. Add to this the intensifying environmental conversation. Electric vehicles, once heralded as a key solution to carbon emissions, are being shoved onto precarious ground by policies originally meant to preserve domestic industries. Symbolically, it's heartbreaking for green initiatives. Practically, it's threatening widespread job losses from factories to dealerships. Equally worrisome is the alignment possibility between Canada and the European Union, facilitated by deals like CETA, the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. If Canada finds stable new partners for minerals, technology exchange, or production, the United States could wake up to find itself sidelined in the next wave of global EV growth. These undercurrents push global players to recalculate their strategies. While Canada forges new alliances, American automakers face logistical nightmares. Will supply chains disperse beyond North America to escape crippling tariffs? Experts warn of a possible production diaspora, where factories scatter to friendlier landscapes if punitive measures keep piling up. As border delays persist, the intangible cost of lost competitiveness grows. Some say we are witnessing more than a temporary tariff skirmish. We could be witnessing the redrawing of the global automotive map. So where do things stand now? In the immediate aftermath of April 9th's Canadian counterpunch, automakers are scrambling to rethink production schedules, and dealers are updating their data sheets daily. The United States Trade Representative's office is said to be reviewing next steps, though that promise offers little clarity to an industry bleeding millions.
He knows how to use tariffs appropriately to negotiate deals where necessary and to drive investment and manufacturing back to the U.S. And that's what we're doing. He was successful in his first term in using it. Real wages went up, and that's what we're doing now. And we're working around the clock to make sure we can do that.
Meanwhile, there is a ticking clock. A 90-day tariff suspension on certain non-automotive goods is set to expire on May 9th, 2025, intensifying pressure on both sides to reach a resolution or risk further economic damage. Despite pleas for calm, the tariff war could escalate if either nation decides to expand the list of targeted products. Some lawmakers in Washington suggest extending tariffs to automotive software imports, adding a new digital dimension to an already tangled conflict. Others hint at more strategic negotiations, possibly removing tariffs in exchange for stricter local content rules that some auto leaders can grudgingly accept. Yet neither side seems willing to appear weak, and public opinion has turned fractious. Polls show growing frustration among consumers who feel they are caught in the crossfire. Concerns about climate change clash with nationalistic rhetoric, and a question hangs in the air. Should automakers revamp supply chains now or continue to bet on a miraculous policy reversal? As with any high-stakes standoff, the outcome remains uncertain. Certain optimists predict that cooler heads will prevail and new deals will be struck to protect the flow of auto workers, parts, and technology across borders. Others see an ugly future, a protracted tariff war driving parts of the EV industry offshore and delaying the clean energy transition right when the world can least afford it. Either scenario will shape history. And that's what makes this moment so pivotal. In the end, this clash over tariffs isn't just about economics. It's about the future we envision for ourselves and the planet. EVs promised a transformative leap towards sustainable transportation, but now they risk becoming casualties in a battle of political wills. Each new policy twist drains momentum, each day of uncertainty raises costs, and each missed opportunity could reverberate for decades. Motives vary. Some want to protect local jobs, some want to assert national sovereignty, and still others see this as a grand showdown for global influence. But as the Piston Pundit host declared in a recent broadcast, tariffs may have started as an economic lever. Will North America band together once more to champion affordable, eco-friendly cars? Or will protectionist barriers overshadow environmental progress? That final question remains unanswered, leaving us to wonder what tomorrow's headlines and tomorrow's roads will look like.